everybody, I am Aarstad, and today I'm back with a brand new Doctor Who Series 12 review, this time of Episode 4, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, an episode that a lot of people were really looking forward to by the sounds of it, and looking at Twitter and the comments and all that sort of thing. I was personally quite looking forward to it as well. When this sort of episode was sort of announced, not really announced, but sort of talked about through an interview with Chris Chibnall, I think a lot of people got quite excited to see kind of where they were going to go with that and sort of what they would explore, you know. Chibnall era historicals have kind of stuck out as some of the better ones. Not always, but Rosa was pretty well received. Demons of the Punjab was really well received. And I believe The Witchfinders people seem to enjoy as well, despite having a more lighter-hearted approach to it, you know, especially with Alan Cumming as King James. However, this episode was, I think, the first proper historical of Series 12. I know we had a little bit based in the past for Episode 2, but it was part of a bigger story. This is the proper first. So did this episode live up to the Series 11 historicals? I personally think yes, it did. I think it did a really solid job, similar to that of Rosa and Demons of the Punjab, especially. It focused around Tesla as a key important historical figure, exploring a few different elements, specifically how he's not as remembered in history as Thomas Edison was. And it was very clever how they used the companions in the script to kind of bounce that off. You know, Jodie Whittaker, obviously being the Doctor, has all this knowledge about all these different historical figures and all these people, and she's almost getting a little bit infuriated that her companions don't actually have a clue who Nikola Tesla is. And that was really interesting. I really liked that being explored a little bit and using that as a sort of groundwork to establish to the audience who Nikola Tesla was without sounding like it was just spewing exposition for the sake of it. The story overall was moderately interesting. We'll get on to specifics in terms of characters and villains and whatever later. But for now, you know, the basics. You've got this sort of ship with these sort of scorpion creatures called the Skithra who want Nikola Tesla to repair some of their stuff, their weapons, their ship, their just everything, all their little gadgets and gizmos. They want this historical figure to be able to fix that for them because of his great intelligent mind. And then it ended up just being one of those things where it's like, oh, we're going to destroy the world for no reason, and then, yeah, Jodie has to kind of stop them, and etc. So the story overall is fine, if not a little cliche. I think we've seen this sort of thing in Doctor Who before. I mean, again, even comparing to the last time we had a big giant alien arachnid, you know, like The Runaway Bride, for example, you had the Rachnos, the sort of big sort of spider thing, and it's terrorizing Earth, and go, oh, we're gonna just blow up Earth for no reason. Why not? It'll be a laugh. And it's like, yeah, it's just, it draws comparisons to previous Doctor Who, and you know, 56 years into a TV show, you're gonna get that, unfortunately. However, I still think this episode did manage to keep a lot of things unique, fresh, interesting. Yeah, we'll get on to that. So we're going to talk about characters now. So we're going to start with, obviously, as always, Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor. Again, as I've said with the previous 3 episodes, despite their many, many flaws, Jodie Whittaker brings her A-game yet again, feeling more like the Doctor than ever. And I keep saying that week on week, and hopefully I'm going to say that next week as well, and the week after, because I find myself getting more impressed and more just in key. Every time Jodie's on screen, I'm looking and I can't look away because everything she's saying, it's like, it, you know, she's becoming more of a character. There were a lot of concerns last series with people who maybe didn't think she was bringing her A game, maybe people who thought she was just trying to emulate Tennant or Smith or an older Doctor, not really giving her performance anything unique or interesting. I feel like this series is kind of proving that wrong and really stamping down that Jodie Whittaker is the Doctor, and here's what she can do. She's doing a brilliant job. The comedy's well balanced with the serious stuff, and it bounces back and forward, and it works really well. Jodie Whittaker is doing a great job, and that was proven no better than this episode. We'll talk about the companions now. I feel like the companions, for the first time in maybe a series and a half, have actually all been done well. Is that fair to say? I think so. I really actually enjoyed the companions this episode, and I think a lot of the time with Series 11 and even the beginning of Series 12, I feel like one companion or one or two companions are focused on much more than another companion. It always feels like someone is left out or left with nothing to do. Most of the time that's Yaz, but especially in Spyfall, Yasmin felt like she was doing a lot of stuff, and then Graham and Ryan kind of felt like they were doing nothing, which is a total flip from Series 11, which is fine, because it was great to see Yasmin actually do stuff, but I want to see them all doing stuff, all doing important stuff, and again, splitting up the main TARDIS team is a good thing. Keep doing that. So at the beginning of the episode, when 13, Graham and Ryan went off with Thomas Edison and Yaz stayed with Nikola Tesla, I was so happy because we finally got to, let's talk about Yaz. Yaz did actually a lot this episode, which is great to see. I find myself actually liking her character more and more. The more lines she gets, the more screen time she gets, not just, appearing in the background. I sort of worry with a couple episodes in Series 11 that she could just be a cardboard cutout. This series, she's actually doing stuff and actually getting involved, especially with the Tesla stuff, getting zapped to that ship and having to, well, she didn't do much to fend for herself, I suppose. She didn't get many lines when she was there, but she still did stuff this episode, and that is important. And then Ryan, yeah, he wasn't annoying, which, to be honest with you, for me, that's a positive thing. I'm not really a big fan of Ryan's character, so to actually just enjoy his presence this episode, I think he spoke to a couple of characters on the TARDIS and talked about his life a little bit, and I just liked that. It felt more humanising. I actually felt like Ryan was a real character and not just an actor reading a script, which is what you want from Doctor Who and what you want from any TV show, movie, etc. Graham felt like he was doing a lot as well, I guess. It's just, they're all doing stuff, and that's all I want to drive home. I'm not going to go into specifics because you've watched the episode, but they all did stuff, and that is what I like. That's what I feel is important with Doctor Who. So I'm very satisfied with all the companions this episode. Good job. Tesla, Nikola Tesla, the historical figure, played by Goran Vishnik. I've definitely butchered that name, but I'm not going to be able to do any better. He did a fantastic job, genuinely, from the beginning, right at the start, when the Doctor wasn't even there, which is what I did like that, the fact that the Doctor didn't arrive till like about a few minutes in. I quite liked that it was just focused on Tesla and his assistant. So he was just bringing his A game again, doing a phenomenal job, just really feeling like the historical figure. I never once went, oh, that's an actor. I just felt like that was Nikola Tesla. There's no question about it. The guy can act, and he's doing a bloody stellar job. So yeah, dead impressed, genuinely believable, lovable, but also stern, and I love the balance of that. I don't know much about this historical figure, as did the companions. I knew about as much as them going into it, other than the fact that he actually did exist. I did know that, but like, he felt like such a lovable character that I actually want to know about now. I want to go away, I want to research, and I want to know more about Nikola Tesla. So yeah, I think that's a good thing that Doctor Who's sort of doing there, and I think educating is not bad, as long as it's not forcing it into your face and not ramming it down your throat. It's like, if you can kind of present this historical figure in a light which entertains people, then it should be accepted and loved and appreciated, because that's what Rosa did last year. A lot of people disagree with it, whatever. I felt like Rosa did a great job of really showing off the character of Rosa Parks and sort of enticing the viewer to go and read more into her story. And I feel like that's exactly what this episode did with Nikola Tesla. Good job. The Skithra, the villains of the episode, the shape-shifting scorpion things, weird. Personally, I think up until the Queen was introduced, I thought they were brilliant. I genuinely thought they were brilliant. I loved the sort of hiding under the cloak technique with the sort of red eyes. That was brilliant, and the shape-shifting effect with the VFX from the guy into the sort of scorpion creature, I thought was brilliantly done. So fantastic job there from the VFX people. I just think when the Queen was introduced, I was a little bit disappointed, because it definitely just felt like someone in a costume. I do appreciate it, and I think the actress was doing a fine job with it, but the costume really fell apart for me, because 2006, 2007, we had a giant spider, all in practical effects, just with a woman in the front of it, with ginormous legs and stuff. And it's like, but now it's 2020, we can't actually get we can't get a big scorpion. We have to I know she had to move about a little bit, and you couldn't have done that with Runaway Bride because it was mostly stationary positions. However, I felt more of a presence from the Rachnos than I did with the Queen Skithra, and that was disappointing because it just felt like a person in a suit. I mean, she had like a car tyre over, and I know the theme is that they're meant to steal from people and they're meant to just take what they can get, like scavengers. However, I still felt a little bit disappointed because I was like, because when you're looking at that and people in the trailer go, oh, well, she looks a bit Rachnos-y. I was expecting something, like a giant scorpion that actually did move around and had her body as sort of like the front, like the face of the creature, and not just the whole creature. Just I would have liked like giant legs and a giant sort of scorpion tail, which did appear at one point, but it was just a tail. It wasn't like there wasn't actually a scorpion there. It was just a woman with an enormous tail that fires lasers. It's like, what? I didn't mind it. I didn't mind the monsters. I just felt like they dragged a little bit for me, and I just didn't really love them as much as I was really hoping to. The shape-shifting, the creepiness, it was actually quite scary, and it worked quite effectively. And yeah, the VFX was to a T. However, I just felt a little bit disappointed, especially with the Queen Skithra. The actress was doing a great job, but I just felt like their drive and they just didn't feel very unique, and they didn't really feel very special, and it was a bit disappointing, unfortunately. But that's my only downside of the episode, really. The rest of the cast were all doing great jobs. Thomas Edison and all the other different side characters that we saw briefly, all doing a good job. Great job, yeah. Good on you. But nothing stuck out as bad, nothing pulled me out of the episode. It all felt smooth, worked quite well, but the main focus is on the main cast, and I feel like they all delivered exceptionally, other than the monsters. Talking about a few things that I liked here and there wasn't any specific scenes that I loved. I think most of the episode was just really pretty enjoyable. I thought the historical stuff was very, very well done. I feel like it was never going to be as hard-hitting as Rosa was or Demons of the Punjab, because they're exploring themes of racism and partition, like big, harrowing themes that are really, really tough to get across to an audience successfully, and it's going to hit hard. When you're looking at this, it's doing the same thing. However, it's about something that isn't as hard-hitting. It's about Tesla and his life and his exploration and scientific discovery. That is really interesting. However, it's not going to hit the same as racism or partition. I was never expecting it to be. So I feel like I've come out this episode going, yes, it was a really good historical, but it didn't hit as hard as it. But it wasn't going to. It was never going to hit as hard as last year's historicals, because they were both about big, hard-hitting themes. It felt, comparing it to a less hard-hitting theme with, the Witchfinders, for example, and witch trials and King James and all that sort of thing, I felt like this episode did a better job of exploring a historical figure than the Witchfinders did with King James. King James felt more like a pantomime performance, albeit very enjoyable as a pantomime performance. I still enjoyed this episode more, and I feel like this was genuinely a good historical without the sort of hard-hitting elements. You kind of have to give it a bit of leeway, and I am happy to, because I genuinely, thoroughly enjoyed watching this episode. I also thought the visuals were particularly striking this episode, as they are with most of Chibnall's era. The visual team are doing a fantastic job, not just with special effects, but with the sort of shots as well. A lot of it cinematic. Seeing Niagara Falls was brilliant. The Niagara generator as well was fantastic to see. The TARDIS and the different lighting of the TARDIS was fascinating to look at. I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. This is much better than what it looked like in Series 11. It's shifting from sort of blue and orange and sort of like an ice cool colour. I thought it was very impressive how they're really making the TARDIS feel alive. And not just alive, but actually like some sort of scientific workspace, which I love. And to see Tesla and Thomas Edison on the TARDIS at the same time was brilliant. Really loved that. Anyway, I feel like, I feel like I'm rambling a little bit now, so I'm going to just kind of wrap this review up. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. I'm going to give this episode an 8 out of 10. I thought it was pretty solid. I might change that towards the end of the series when I do my overall review, but I'm sticking with 8 out of 10 for now. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought there were a few things here and there, specifically with the monsters. However, mostly pretty damn good stuff. I will see you all next week with my everything we know about Fugitive of the Judoon, as well as my review of episode 5 after that's aired next week. Hopefully it's good. I'm looking forward to it myself. Judoon, returning monster, so that should be fun. I'm really actually quite looking forward to that. Anyway, that's that. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment below for any more suggestions in the future. Subscribe to the channel with notifications on if you haven't already, because YouTube is a bit of a mess. I've got a Patreon page if you want to support the channel, and I've also got a Discord server if you want to join the conversation about the latest Doctor Who episodes. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye. It was an interesting. I'm gonna start that again. Fuck, I'm just doing. That's shit. Fuck.